Well, welcome back to Steve's Projects here in sunny Arizona. We moved to Arizona a couple years ago and bought a beautiful house with a nice backyard, but it was a kind of a plain backyard with a lot of gravel, and we kind of missed the water because we lived on the water for so many years when we were sailing around the world and living in Hawaii. So decided to dig a big hole in our backyard and put some water in it and make a little pond. So this little video is a story about how all that came together. So some of you have had questions about building a pond. Maybe this will answer some of your questions, and so here goes. So here's my backyard pond project. Pretty well underway. First thing we did is built this brick retaining wall. The wall was built to match the rest of the brick work in the backyard, and the pond is going to go right here in front of that wall. But the retaining wall provides a place for us to deposit the dirt that has to come out from where the pond will be dug, which is right here. And then we will install a pump probably here and run the main pipe up behind the wall and up to the top of the hill there. And then the spillway for our stream and waterfall, we will follow this little natural path right up past the cactus and to the top of the wall underneath our spreading oak tree, which we may regret later on because it does drop quite a few leaves and acorns that we'll have to somehow filter or fish out of our pond. Anyway, this is we're about October 28th right here. So the weather should be getting cooler and work should progress a little faster from here, we hope. So it's November 3rd, and you can see here we've begun digging the pond out, only down about a foot or so, and we've gone with the pork chop shape and design. Over here we've dug in the trench for the pipe going to the top of the hill. Got a little bit more work to do there. And we've begun filling behind the retaining wall here. So everything's coming along. Quite a bit more digging to do. Okay, here we are, November 8th, and we're still digging. Have the skimmer installed in the hole, and spreading the dirt. The main pipe is still laid open, and maybe today we'll finish up some of the plumbing. Okay, now it's looks like the day before Thanksgiving, and the excavation for the pond is complete, and we're starting to work our way up the hill and to put the stream in. And here's the underlayment materials, some old secondhand carpet. And here's the pond liner. The liner's ready to spread after we get the underlayment in. So here's our pond coming along. As you can see, we've installed wall-to-wall carpet as an underlayment to protect our pond line. So with the help of a couple neighbors, we dropped the pond liner into the pond and filled it up to the design water level. And now we're working on finishing the edges and trimming the liner until we get to the next step. So here we are, it's about December 28th, and we've built a little dock over the skimmer to cover up the plumbing and the skimmer. We're in the process of lining the pond with rock. We've got the stream laid out and partially lined, and we're still working on it. It's amazing how much work it takes placing all these rocks pretty much one by one. And then at the top here we've got an old whiskey barrel with a spillway carved in it. And for those of you thinking about using a whiskey barrel, when they're cut in half like this, they're not necessarily real watertight. So to contain the water, if you look close underneath here, we've installed a plastic hot water heater pan. So if there's any leaking or overflow from the whiskey barrel, it will come out a little drainage under those rocks and end up back in the stream, so that way we won't lose any water. So you can see we've got the plumbing all going here with a 2-inch supply line, and everything's looking pretty good, but it'll take a fair amount of work to fill in all the gaps here in the stones, so that's what I'll be working on today. And here's our faithful dog Baxter. He's been helping right along supervise some of the pond construction, and now he's been testing the water. Hey Baxter, what do you say? You want to go swimming? Pond, it's coming along. We've filled it once with water and drained it to kind of get the liner set, and now we're lining the liner with river rock. So that's coming along. And here's my faithful dog Baxter, who has been helping me every step of the way, dropping things into the pond like his ball, his toys, his frisbee, and whatever. Thanks, Baxter. Good dog. So we use a standard pond liner to to make the pond, and we used the same liner for the stream coming down the hill. We had to seam it in a couple places, but it's fairly easy to work with, and we're still working on, as you can see, lining some of the areas with rocks. In retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have made some of the sides so steep, because it's a little more challenging lining the edges with rocks when the sides are steep. And I've put them up there, but from time to time, Baxter here rearranges the rocks for me. So we're still working on getting all the rocks in the right places, so we'll keep working on that. So here we are, finally got most all of the rocks in place, got our spillway running. A little more work than we thought, laying all the rocks in. But everything's flowing now. Lined the edge of the pond with some artificial grass. Put some bricks around to finish it off. And here's our dock with all the plumbing underneath. Let's just have a look at the mechanics here. So there's our skimmer made with a 30-gallon barrel. We used a toilet control valve to regulate the water level, because the toilet valve takes up the least amount of room, and does a good job of controlling the water level. We've added a transformer timer here that operates a underwater light inside the pond. Over here we have a timer. One thing we found is got a fairly small submersible pump running the pond, but even that adds about $35 or $40 to the electric bill. So to control the electric bill a little bit, we added this timer so that the waterfall actually shuts down at night and then comes back on in the morning. To keep the water clean, we added a filter system, and that's what this device here is. There's a separate pump in the bottom of the pond that pumps water out. It goes back behind the dock here and goes through a UV light system, which knocks out some of the, or most of the small green algae particles. Then it pumps the water into the bottom of this container, and in this container we've got several different layers of filter material, and the water percolates up through that filter material, runs down the outside of the container and back into the pond here, which is giving us nice clear water, so Baxter here can easily keep track of the fish in the clear water. So that's it. Any questions on building the pond, let me know. Catch you all later.